Each time a man stands up for an ideal or acts to improve the lot of others or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope.
The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything.
You are now listening to Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, the voice for the people. Join Richie alongside co-host property damage attorney Hans Cannon as they bring light to the taboo world of big insurance companies, exposing their tactics and fighting for justice. Hear stories from contractors across the state. Contractor Talk, here to protect homeowners and uncover the truth.
All right. Welcome to the show, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Welcome to our new radio dial right here, 94.9 FM or 950 AM on a different station. It's new to us anyways. And every Monday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. here on 94.9 FM. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. I'm excited again to be here, and we have a new show for you guys tonight. Every show or every week, we have different contractors, how are we going to say, just different service providers that are offering services for you, the consumer, to help enhance who you guys have working on your home and your space. Know that they are professionals, know that they are the best in their game, and we have them here for you to call in, answer any question you guys might have. I'm horrible at this, so let me go ahead and give you the call-in number right now, 407-774-8255. That's 407-774-TALK. And we're here to answer questions for you. Tonight, we have some special guests for you to share. And we'll start off with Annabelle Harris. She's our new executive director at the Restoration Association of Florida. And that's who we're powered and sponsored by, the Restoration Association of Florida. That's raflorida.org. And this show is full of membership, or our members within that organization. So I'll have you go ahead and tell us about yourself, Annabelle, and your new position. Congratulations.
Thank you, Richie. I'm Annabelle Harris. I'm the new executive director for the Restoration Association of Florida. I'm proud to continue Richie's vision of advocating for and supporting restoration professionals. Our mission is to unite contractors, public adjusters, lawyers, and service providers, create opportunities to connect, share knowledge, and elevate our industry. We advocate for fair regulations and practices benefiting both insurance professionals and policyholders, ensure our members' voices are heard in the policymaking process. What we offer, mentorship for new businesses, opportunities for contractors, public adjusters, law firms, and affiliates to collaborate, community involvement through efforts like beach cleanups and volunteer projects. Membership is open to service providers like restoration companies, reconstruction and roofing contractors, public adjusters, plumbers, HVAC, electrical contractors, and other service providers. We also open it up to co-op and affiliates, businesses that support the restoration industry through products, services, or partnership. For example, Claims Wizard CRM is a CRM for public adjusters, lawyers, and restoration companies that they utilize. Legal professionals, attorneys and experts specializing in restoration and property damage claims, as well as non-members and nonprofits, individuals and organizations like the American Red Cross interested in supporting RAF mission. Why join us, you say? Well, access to valuable resources, networking opportunities to strengthen the restoration community, a platform to help unify and grow the industry. To learn more about our membership, you can go to Florida.
The website, raflorida.org. And yeah. That's awesome. And with that, with the membership and anyone listening, if you're in a trade that works with this type of I would say it's almost indifferent the way we talk about it, because we talk about claims resolution a lot on this show. We're really about putting homeowners back to pre-loss condition in that way, in that manner, right? Whether it's a roof, whether it's a plumbing loss, whether it's wind, backups, those types of things. We're here to help the folks that don't deal with this every day. I think the average somewhere between once in 10 years or once in a lifetime does a property owner have to deal with this type of event. So they don't know what they're doing, and we ensure that with our team that they are put back to pre-loss condition, and they're not coming out of pocket like we have seen many times over, where the insurance company gets involved with a claim that should be rightfully paid, and then they end up short paying the homeowner or wrongfully denying them. And you see staggering types of percentages like we talked about last week on the show. There are articles out showing that Citizens Property Insurance denied 77% of all Hurricane Helene claims that were filed within the state of Florida. And that's shocking, being that they have 1.3 million policies out of 6.5 million policies that exist here in the state of Florida, HO3 policies, single family resident policies. So we've seen such a big uptick in insurance companies wrongfully denying claims here that we've felt like we needed to get the information out there, because many people get that letter and they say, oh man, it looks like I was, or the more famous one now is like they're saying, oh no, we see that you have damages and we are affording coverage. But because you had a hurricane, your hurricane deductible is much higher, like say 8,000 to 10,000 or whatever it is. And they say your damages, we only think your damages are up to maybe 7,000 and your deductible is 8,000. So here is we're affording you coverage, but no payment is forthcoming type of letter. And people read that and they actually say, okay, well, I guess there's nothing I can do about it. And they put all of the money in themselves. So they go and get a loan, they refinance their home, and it wasn't their fault. I mean, they've been paying, most of these people are saying, I paid my insurance 20, 30 years and I've never filed a claim. And finally, the day that I do and I file a claim, you deny me? And part of that, not only Citizens were in trouble, top 3 insurance companies here in the state of Florida, State Farm being one of them, 50% cancel of denial rate. And right behind it was Heritage Insurance, somewhere around 48% of all recent hurricane filings were denied or paid under deductible. That's staggering. And so we're here to talk to you about what to do, who to call, and who that can help you progress into your claim, or really understand who I need in this situation. And we had a public adjuster on here last week, and that's one of the professions that can help you when it comes to an insurance claim when you're on your property. And if you do want a fair, I guess, just interpretation of what's going on in your policy, what can be covered and what should not be covered, that's where a public adjuster can come in and help you out. Now, there are other professions as well that can help you with what damages were sustained and how much does that cost. And in that world is a even different specialty. It's just like lawyers or doctors. There's so many different specialties in which they can practice in, right? I mean, and some contractors practice in, hey, I'm going to help you rebuild, and we call this in the industry, cash paying clients. I just need you to put in a closet, or I need you to do some certain things. And they bill in these lump sum type of estimates, which is unheard of in the insurance market. They want everything detailed, line item by line item, which is something that most contractors don't do. And so tonight we have a guest for you that is in that world and that can definitely assist you with that. And Annabelle, I did tell you that I was going to have you introduce Corey tonight, so go for it.
Yes, you did. I'd like, this is a perfect segment, obviously, for this. I'd like to introduce our guest this evening, Corey Lance with CSL Construction. From Corey's own words, I am a husband to an incredible woman and a father to 4 amazing kids. Every breath of my existence is dedicated to being the best husband and father I can be. The importance this comes from my childhood, where I was raised in a very poor areas of Miami, Florida, surrounded by broken homes. I've made it my life's mission to break the cycle of my family's history. I was born into construction. Every male on both my mother's and father's side of the family work in some form of construction. So as you can probably imagine, I've been building and repairing things since I was a boy. I was born to be a contractor. It's in my blood. As an adult, I began working construction at 18 years old while building custom homes in 2010. I completed a 2-year construction technology degree from Valencia. That same year, I started a home repair company. A few years later, in 2013, I obtained my contractor's license. Since then, I've grown my business into a $5 million plus construction company specializing in insurance claim repair work. In 2017, I expanded my services to include expert witness work. To date, I've provided over 1,000 expert opinions and pricing and scope, been deposed in more than 100 times, and have appeared at 4 trials as either an expert witness or fact witness. Today, Corey Lance continues to lead CSL Construction with the same passion and dedication that have driven him from the start. His expertise in insurance claim repair work and expert witness services has made him a trusted name in the industry. Through hard work and perseverance, Corey has not only built a successful business, but also remained true to his mission of creating a better future for his family and those he serves. Now let's hear from Corey as he shares more about his journey, his expertise, and how CSL Construction is making an impact.
Man, so we got to have that soundbite on there. Some applause. That's excellent.
What a story, huh?
Yeah, that was great. That was a great intro.
I obviously wrote that, but I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it back to me. So it's a little bit. I got goosebumps kind of listening to that. Right? That's a long way coming for sure. Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for having me.
And that's awesome. And that's funny. 2013 was the mark of the year in which I joined this crazy industry as well. And I saw us both coming up in this crazy industry here in Central Florida and expanded from here. And I love that background of growing up in Miami. Had no idea. So I've always known you as Central Florida guy.
Yeah. I mean, been here 20 years now, so pretty much a Central Florida guy. But yeah, definitely I have a lot of that Miami hustle and mindset coming here as a teenager, you know.
Yeah, that's what it takes to have a successful business. You know, it's just a high, how I want to say, just frequency of communication and just kind of staying on the ball and just making sure the job gets done, man. And that's what it takes a lot of times, man. It's just like the heart and the drive, you know, and everything now that you have behind that, just not only the passion, but the expertise, the knowledge, the education, and that experience is something that you just can't really have, man.
No, yeah,
you really can't find it.
You can't replicate that. I mean, we tell that to clients all the time. You know, I mean, being in the industry, right, you get calls from homeowners that are dealing with a water loss or a fire loss, right? And they're just, I'm looking for 3 estimates. You know, this is what the carrier told me to do. It's what my adjuster told me to do. And it's like, you can get 3 estimates. You can spend all the time in the world doing that, but you want to find a guy that knows insurance work and knows the hoops that you're going to have to jump through with your adjuster, with the carrier. Moreover than that, the mortgage company is always tied to those checks, right? People don't ever realize that. And that's a whole nother, I've had times mortgage companies hold payment for 90 days after the job's already completely done. So, I mean, I'm waiting on $20,000, $30,000 in final payment. I mean, what contractor in a retail world is going to do that? The day they're done, they want to get paid right then and there.
That's right.
So,
right. And that puts a homeowner in a weird spot because, like, you know, some homeowners are forced to get a loan in order to pay for that, knowing that the money's coming or on the way. And like you said, most contractors are not going to wait. They're going to say, no, I need my money now. Pay me and you'll get reimbursed. And as I've said on the show before, you know, there are times, and that's what the public adjuster and the attorney has stated before, that they help their clients get reimbursed for that, for any type of interest paid within that, if that so is the case. However, I don't think a homeowner should be put in that position. I think, and many times over, the insurance company's response sometimes are like you said, are almost ludicrous. There's so many hoops you have to jump through. Give me 3 estimates for the roof or paint and interior and this. Like, how is somebody in their right mind going to be able to do that, especially after a storm, a major event? If a whole city's wiped out, how are you going to have these contractors give you an estimate or even show up at that point unless they're doing the work? And then it's money talks, right? At that point, your home is going to continue to get worse shape because maybe you can't find somebody to come out and put a tarp on it and bill your insurance company. Put a tarp on it, dry it out, get rid of the mold, that type of thing. That's the type of service providers we have on the show that will help the homeowners get back to at least a space of pausing and into some area where they're not dealing with mold, they're not dealing with crazy things in their home while they're waiting for the insurance company to do the right thing. And you're one of those contractors, and I know this because we've worked on many jobs together, and there's been so many jobs where we've helped them from A to Z, and we still don't get paid at the end of it. You know, so much of our money was tied up in the AOB work. And now here we are after many law changes, after the insurance companies faked a crisis, gave the governor $100 million in the midst of a financial crisis, which is always weird, how they could do that. But anyways, and then we get all these massive law changes, all in the favor of insurance companies. So to make it easier for them to get away with murder, for them to not have to pay insureds rightfully what is owed by them. And matter of fact, they even have a bill that's already proposed, Senate Bill 230 that was just filed not too long ago in this current session that's about to start here in March. That makes it even worse or harder for bad faith to be attained. And of course, it has some language in there about public adjusters, because they love picking on public adjusters.
Well, PAs are the next. I tell all my PA friends that I'm like, they came after us, and the roofers, the contractors, restoration guys, and the PAs are the next ones. They already went after the attorneys. Obviously, they got rid of the fee shifting statute.
Right?
Yeah,
and that doesn't hurt the attorneys. It only hurts the homeowners.
Yeah, it only takes off the homeowner.
Right, because the attorneys are going to get paid. I mean, every one of them you talk to are charging 20, 30, 40%. And then if you have a PA fee on top of that, homeowners aren't, the juice isn't worth the squeeze of 50%.
Moreover than that, the attorney's got to pay somebody like me to come in and provide expert services, right? So
and that's a cost.
Like we talked about,
right.
Or like Annabelle, on my spiel coming in. So outside of the restoration stuff, attorneys in the state pay me for my knowledge of all the years of doing this to come in and like provide an opinion on what I think it'll cost, what the scope is, and what it's reasonably going to cost to repair this home back to pre-loss condition. And then before with the fee shifting statute, they could absorb those costs and give it back to the carrier. Now that's going to the homeowner. So on top of their 30%, whatever they're paying me and engineers and anybody else that's they need to have come out and do work for them, that's all just getting shifted right back to Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Right. And they shouldn't have to come out of pocket for that. I mean, now costs are still able to get reimbursed. The problem is that we're hearing from the attorneys now is that these insurance companies feel so empowered that they are settling in global amounts to include everything. And that, and if you're close enough, then that kind of forces the homeowner to make that decision and say, listen, and I've heard the attorneys tell them to say, hey, we're at this stage right now. We're about halfway through the litigation process. Right now, let's say if they're owed like $100,000, for instance, to make it nice and easy, round numbers, they'll say they'll settle with you right now for $50,000. But if you litigate it for another 6 months to a year, you could possibly get closer to that $100,000 number that we're trying to get. We're gonna have to get some more experts involved, engineers. We're gonna have to get contractors involved, maybe a weather person like Glenn Richards or somebody. I know he does it for some folks, and so that cost continues to rise, and
your net gain ends up being probably the same. I mean,
right.
You come to this bigger lump sum amount, but then all of a sudden you have all these extra costs involved. So it's like, what is the gain? If it's $10,000 more, would you rather just take the 50 now,
or have to wait a year to get that other 50 minus whatever the cost it takes me to get there, right? Or go to trial, in which if you're victorious there, then you'll get your full amount of that award only if successful in trial, right? I mean, you have to take it all the way that far, and most homeowners don't have the stomach for it, and that's why the insurance companies wanted to get rid of the AOB. Because me and you, we're our companies were in trial all the time. I kicked their ass all the time. I mean, and so there was I feel like the John Morgan on the sign is like, we win a lot. I mean, we lost, but we won a lot more than we did, and we'll take them to the mat every single time. And so that's why they didn't like us, because we're sophisticated companies that would take them and make them accountable. We don't want anything that was more than what should have been paid out to begin with. All we want is what's right for the homeowner. And so now that we have these law changes, most of the folks that are in your position are using a service contract, more of like a direction to pay. Still offering the help that they need to meet with their adjuster if they come out, talk about price and scope, and that type of thing. What type of contract are you using today, and how are you helping folks in this post-law change in this weird market we live in today?
That's exactly what we're using, a direction of pay and a contract for services. That's really the only way I know anybody that's in the industry is doing it. Because the AOB is just invalid, and the direction at least gives us something. Like a lot of times our names come on the check, gives us some kind of protection. And also, the way I explain it to homeowners is it actually, more than like our name being on the check, it lets the carriers know that we're working with you, like we're invested with you. I tell people all the time, like, imagine it's very catastrophic, right? Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been involved with it. My mother was involved with one, and that's almost kind of what got me into doing insurance work. But obviously, like, this is your house. It's everything to most homeowners, right? So if you have like a flood or a pipe break or a fire, like, it's very emotional. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and you're distraught, right? So I try to tell people, I give them you're in a little wooden boat with 2 paddles, and you're going down some whitewater rapids, right? I'm gonna jump in the boat with you. I'm gonna help you steer and get through that stuff, and then at the end there's some nice little river that we can go fishing in and hang out in, right? So, but during that, it's just crazy getting through that mess, right? So that direction kind of helps us speak to the adjuster, kind of advocate for them in a way, just as far as what we need to do to put their house back to pre-loss condition. I can't talk policy. Obviously, that's what a PA does, right? So if there's ever a policy issue, like, we may have to refer to an attorney or a PA and tell the homeowner, like, you're gonna have to deal with them on that. But as far as just sheer construction, restoration, things like that, we can sit there and help get them what they need and explain to an adjuster why. Like, as a state licensed contractor, mold remediation people, like, we can tell them that, right? So we can say, Mrs. Smith needs this done because this is the proper way to do it. I have to do drywall, I have to do insulation, I have to do drywall, I have to do 2 coats of paint with a prime coat. I have to skim coat this texture to respray all new texture on a ceiling because I can't just do patchwork. That's not what they had. They didn't have a patch in their ceiling. They had a nice clean ceiling. Like, so these are things that we, with discussions we have, and that's how we help homeowners get back to what we call pre-loss condition.
That's awesome. And there's 2 types of insurance customers or property damage customers for you. And that's what I like about you and your firm with your expertise, is that we have these policies that are now starting to pop up with these managed care program involvement in there, where it's basically they get first right of refusal, the insurance company does. People's Trust is the biggest one that came out with it first, I would imagine. I think there were other policies that were coming out that were offering that.
Citizens is doing I don't know if you've seen this or not, they're doing a $10,000 cap if you don't use their preferred vendor.
Right.
Did you know that?
Yes. I've seen those policies. I don't know how well they stand up, but apparently, especially if they're not offering anything like a discount for the policy by restricting certain portions of it. And so what we've seen over the years of that, OIR has been slapped on the wrist for allowing this type of policy stuff to come out without offering having the homeowner sign off on it or accepting it via a discount and saying, okay, well, you showed me 2 policies. One that exists, because within the state of Florida, it states that you're supposed to have 2 things, and that's an RCV policy and ordinance and law. Those are 2 things that are supposed to be given. They've had a law change where it says that they can offer you ordinance and law, but if you sign off on it, then it's out. Then you don't have it in your HO3 policy. So these policies, again, OIR, the Office of Insurance Regulation, got slapped on the wrist several times. Once by our association by suing them for this stupid binding arbitration that American Disintegrity came out with, and that put a fire down in the state and allowing other insurance companies to start putting these policy allotments in there, or restrictions or limitations and such like that. So I advise you, if you're listening today, that if you do have a managed care program type of policy, you can still call Corey and his company afterwards, because I imagine they will screw up the job. They will leave. They get paid. It's like having a full United Healthcare policy or something like that, and then you go to the doctor's office and they shift you over to like the worst possible care you can possibly get, right? I mean, it's like a switch up. You think you're in good hands, you think you have a good neighbor, and then when you get there, it's like, I'm sitting in the DMV line. It's horrible.
It's a crap show. Yeah. I've actually been involved in some hired by attorneys, going back to the expert witness consulting.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. And let them screw up the job and then call you to come out and then give you an estimate on what it will take to fix it, to put
rip it back apart and then put it back together the right way. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about that and how we can help and how Corey can help you if you're in that type of need, whether it be a reconstruction after a loss, after an insurance type of related loss, or if you are in this right now. There are so many people that are within a loss and they had to have their insurance company provide them some service providers. You can still get help today. There are ways to do it. We're going to talk about that after the break. So no matter what position you are, we're here to help. So don't freak out. There are ways to help fix that, even if they screwed you up here in that. And we'll talk about that here after the break. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Thanks for joining us. 94.9 FM or 950 on the AM dial. And every week we do a show here. Monday nights now is our new time, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. If you like what you hear, jump on over to Spotify. All of our shows, all of the past from the past are archived there. You'll see the topics and the agenda of who we had on our show at that point. And so we've gone back for years and years, not only on Spotify, iTunes, but also on our YouTube page. Hop on over to YouTube, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell there. Like, subscribe, and you'll be able to see all of the shows as well. Just on the quick on your phone, again, you can hop on over to Spotify. That's where I go. And that usually is uploaded a few days after our Monday night recording. So every week you get a new show, new guest, bringing information to you. And again, if you like what you heard, hop on over to either our webpage or over to our YouTube page. Like, subscribe us there, contractortalkpodcast.com, or hop on over to YouTube and like, subscribe us there. So we're also active on Facebook, social media, and all that. And Annabelle here is now making sure all of those dots are connected within all of our social media. So thanks for being on the show tonight, by the way, and introducing our guest tonight.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited to be here. And if you're interested in being in our show, please reach out to me. You can go info at FL RAF Florida.
There you go, RA Florida.
RAFlorida.org.
You got to rehearse that, Annabelle.
I know, exactly. My God, it's like a tongue twister here.
Yep. Info at raflorida.org is our email address there. If you'd like to be on the show, if you're interested in membership for the Restoration Association, absolutely.
You can go there, or you can also call me directly or text me at 401-481-8916. I'm very active on my phone. So
yes, you are.
Yes, very active, and I return calls. So you can be sure that you'll hear back from me. So we're looking for guests in the next couple of weeks. So if you're interested in coming on, I'd love to discuss that with you. And again, thank you, Corey, for being here tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, and again, I love how the folks in our arena, whether it be an electrician, whether it be an AC profession, whether it be in the public adjusting world or as an attorney, and other trades, we all are little pieces of the puzzle to help a homeowner get back to pre-loss condition. And we bring that information and those specialties to you guys here on the show. And again, if there's a certain show that you want to listen to, a certain profession, maybe it's like, oh man, I missed the one with the AC guy or the electrician or the plumber, drain daddy, love that guy, then hop on over to our Spotify page and search for it in there. Within our Spotify, you'll be able to find it. It was also the drywall guy. I love that hole in the wall guy. I love that company. What a great idea to fix little patches within there. How many times have you like elbowed your wall or like accidentally kicked or scuffed something on your wall and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to make that right? Well, these guys do, and we had them on our show, and I'd love to hear about how he grew the company, and now he has all these trucks on the road and just helping people all over, whether it be texturing the ceiling to fixing drywall. It's, again, some of those things that drive me crazy as a guy, because I'm like, oh, I could do that, just slap some mud on a wall. I'm like, all right, now that you can definitely tell I try to fix that.
Yeah, don't look so good at the end of the day.
Right. Now, certain things I don't do. Electricity, plumbing, and I added drywall to that too.
It's an artwork, man. I tell people drywall work. It's definitely, there's a passion and an art to it for sure if you're doing it right and finishing it right.
Yep, and some patience within there, man. I tell you, I have none of that. But you know, and it's great having you on the show here, Corey, because so many people are stuck in that position of their carrier telling them, oh man, go get 3 estimates, go do this, and then you get these lump sum bids. These contractors that come out and they just write one line on them. Okay, it's $18,000 to fix the roof, and
it's just it's a load, man, because like we were talking about, like, it's so emotional when a homeowner's dealing with this, right? They're usually distraught. Like, I mean, I've been in people's houses in the middle of the night crying, you know, like, that this is everything in their life, you know, their kids are like, they live here, they're sleeping, whatever, and then you're just like, so it's so cold to just be like, yeah, just go get 3 estimates, like, so it's like, all right, I'm dealing with all this, I'm displaced, you know, my life's in shambles, like, I got to go to work in the morning to pay my mortgage, and then now all of a sudden I got to take time off because a contractor works 9 to 5 and he only wants to come to my house at 3 o'clock on Thursday. Like, just, it's not needed. I mean, so a company like mine, you don't need to do that. We'll come in, sign up with us, let us work for you. We can do all that stuff behind the scenes. I can't guarantee you when it's going to happen because a lot of it has to do with when the carrier comes off, when they agree to go ahead and pay us. But we're here to fight for you. I mean, that's the passion of doing what I do. Like, I've seen so many people. I mean, I started out just as a remodel contractor. We talked about it, just home repair, remodel. My mother dealt with an insurance claim, and then one of my wife's really good friends dealt with an insurance claim, and that really just got me. I like to tell people, I laugh, is that's what got my feet wet in the industry. But just I saw like the sheer like madness that happens when you're dealing with an insurance claim, and this is 10 years ago. It was way easier 10 years ago to get stuff taken care of than it is now. It's like, I mean, you got to go to war with knives and bats.
Right. And it really is a specialty, and they know what time it is when they see an estimate from your company, and it's very detailed. It's line item by line item, room by room, sketch of every single room, what should be included within that scope and what should not be as an add-in to the homeowner if they wanted to add that in. Hey, this isn't part of the claim, but if you want this to addition to happen, or you have to replace like with like. So if it was Formica countertops and they want to put diamond whatever on it, then they have to just pay the upgrade of that. But you can help them with that.
Yeah, there's add-ons there. Yeah, exactly. We call that betterment. So usually we'll go, and so another thing that a lot of people don't talk about is understanding when and where. Are you detaching and resetting something, or are you removing and replacing it, right? Because so if the countertop wasn't damaged, if let's say just for easy here, like you had a kitchen flood, right? You saw the ice maker line broke, and all your lower cabinets just were warped and kind of rotting and falling apart from the water damage. So we go in and we're obviously going to replace those lower kitchen cabinets and probably the uppers too, if we can get the carrier to pay for it. But we're not replacing your kitchen sink or your kitchen faucet or your countertop because those weren't affected by that. So you're just paying to detach and reset that. So if you don't get with a contractor or a restoration company that knows that, then all of a sudden you're dealing with these lump sum players, and they're probably giving you a lump sum to give you new countertops and give you a new kitchen and faucet and all that. So then the carriers pick that stuff apart. They won't use that. Like, so our stuff is delineating the fact that it's going to show you what's being removed or replaced, what's being detached and reset. And then also too, we have the knowledge and the value to have that conversation with the adjuster on your behalf, stating why this is detach and reset or why this is remove and replace.
That's right. And if somebody that's listening right now does want to get a hold of you, call your company and have them come out and get an estimate done, whether it is an insurance claim or you honestly just need a remodel and you want an extra bid, how do they get a hold of you?
So office number 407-395-4749. 2 websites. We have www.cslgc.com and then www.cslwaterdamage.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, CSL Construction. We're pretty heavy on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that. Reels and all kinds of funny stuff. So check us out. Got a lot of good Google reviews. So we're out in Claremont, but we basically service the whole Central Florida area, Ocala over to Daytona, down to Melbourne, across to Lakeland. It's kind of like there's probably 10 or 11 counties there that we service. So pretty big service area. Happy to help anybody that needs any help.
And what is the average job for you, or what do you see most request-wise, whether it be roofs, whether it be remodels, kitchens, bathrooms? What do you see most?
So most of our stuff, I'd say 70% of our stuff is water damage, whether it be, getting there, doing the dry out, doing the mold remediation, and then putting it back together. I would say that's one thing that kind of sets us apart from a lot of other players in the restoration world. Typically, there's kind of 2 sides to doing restoration. You have what we call like the restoration or the mitigation. So that's kind of coming in and getting rid of the problem that you have, like if you have mold or you have water damage. So we're coming in and removing all those bad building materials, drying it out, making the structure safe. But then you're left with drywall's gone, cabinets are gone, baseboards are gone, flooring's gone, right? So the second part of that is what we call the reconstruction side of it. So that's when you kind of come in and put everything back together like nothing ever happened, right? So
right.
My company actually can do both of those things. So a lot of companies either do one or the other, and so I think that kind of sets us apart.
Right.
We're a mom and pop. Like, we're not Servpro, we're not Balfour. You're dealing with local people. My kids go to the schools here. I donate to, the sports programs here and everything. It's local. We're not, you're not buying some CEO of Servpro another house in Long Island or something, right?
Right.
So that's kind of what sets us apart. So yeah, 70% of our work is what we call like insurance claim stuff. So that, restoration, reconstruction, and then the other 35 is just like retail. So bathrooms, kitchens, additions, remodels. We're actually doing a big addition on a house over in Audubon Park right now. We're turning it from a 3.2 to a 5.3.5, adding square footage on. A full gut, changing the roof line, we're multifaceted. We can do, a multitude of things. Whatever you need help with, just give us a call. I'm an honest guy. If I'm not into doing that type of project, or it's not something I feel like I can handle, like I'll just flat out tell you, like that's not, you should probably call somebody else. Like I'm not gonna waste your time or waste mine.
So it's great that you're a one-stop shop, literally.
Yeah.
And I think the most challenging thing for a homeowner, I believe, is when they're going through the process. There are things that they don't think about, like you mentioned earlier, the mortgage process. If you have a mortgage on the house, you have to have a GC on the job.
Yes.
Because that's, as the GC on that job, you have to provide them with the estimate, and there's also checkpoints where they have to come.
Waiver of lien. There's a whole packet, and we obviously we do that. So you're not, as the homeowner, you're not even trying to figure all that out. We can help you through that process. That's like one of the, there's so many things we could talk about, so many, just, like I said, knowing when to detach and reset, knowing to remove and replace. A big thing is, like I said, not so much on smaller jobs, like little $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 jobs. The mortgage company's on the check, but a lot of times with those smaller jobs, the mortgage company will just sign the check and send it back because it's a small repair. So hey, worst case scenario, if the homeowner just pockets the money, like we can deal with that, we'll figure it out. But on some of these larger losses, like over 50, up to $100,000, $150,000, they're releasing a third of the money for the contractor to start the work. We get to the 50% mark, we do, a 50% fee draw, whatever. They send another third, but then I have to take the job to 100% on 66.5% of the money, and then I'm waiting for the other third of the money. And like we talked about earlier in the show, the average contractor, retail contractor would be like, I want my money now, and he'd be placing a lien on your house, which we know, we understand we're going to deal with that. Like that's just part of the game that we play. Yeah.
And some of the preferred pretenders, like I like to call them, that are ordered by the insurance companies to come out, sometimes they don't even get paid, and they're placing liens on the insured's home. And there's nothing the insured can do about it unless they want to come out of pocket and pay. I've heard so many nightmare stories of that happening as well.
Yep. I have some people that refer me work, some of those, so going back to people that just do like the restoration or first part of the job, there's some of those companies local in Orlando refer me to their customers to do the reconstruction portion. And I know some of them that are actually dropping out of it because of that. Like they're supposed to be almost protected as a preferred vendor, and they're not. They're sending their bill to the third-party vendor. The third-party vendor's taking their percentage, they're turning the bill into the carrier, and then they're sending them half of their payment. And then now they're stuck fighting them, putting a lien. They're calling the homeowner like, hey, I need to, you need me to pay me. And the homeowner's like, what do you mean? Like, you're the preferred vendor. The homeowner or the homeowner's insurance told me to hire you. Put their hands up in the air, right?
Well, and that's why they have a separate company, right? That's why People's Trust points their finger at Rapid Response and say, oh, it's their fault. You have a contract with them. You signed the contract with them. And
even though they own
right. But they're pointing their finger at each other, right? And the homeowner doesn't know what's going on, right? They don't know that People's Trust owns Rapid Response, and Rapid Response showed up the second after they hung up the phone with the insurance company. And yet you have the insurance companies out there and our CFO of the state of Florida saying, call your insurance company first. But they're the idiots that send these people out here, and then you're forced to use them. And then, like we've said, that sometimes they don't get paid. They're leaning your home. They're trying to get money from you, or they mess up your house and make it even worse. And they say, I don't have any responsibility of that, where the insurance company absolutely has all the responsibility because they're the ones that push that vendor on you.
They have a contract. They have a contract with you to indemnify you. That's what they're supposed to do. So, going back to these caps and all that, right? And the preferred vendors, like they're just not indemnifying people, and that's the first thing that the insurance company is supposed to do. That's what your contract literally is spelled out to do.
Right. Oh, and more are they getting in between and saying, well, we didn't authorize this vendor, or we're not going to pay this because of this reason. And it's not even a defense. It's not even a real reason. It's just because they don't want to, right? And there's nothing pushing them to have to, right? Whatever they can do to save money. Like we said in the beginning of the show, 77% of all citizens' claims from the recent storms were denied. We're talking about both Helene and what was the other storm? Milton, both.
Yeah.
They combined those two storms in the state of Florida, and out of 1.3 million policies, they won 77% declination rate. Man, that is insane, staggering numbers. And then you have second and third insurer in the state of Florida, with State Farm and Heritage being other big players, around 50%. Either paying under deductible or just declining the claim altogether. And it's a storm that went over. It was just I don't understand how they can look somebody in the face and saying, "Hey, we're not going to cover this." I can see the point of them scratching their head and saying, "Okay, you're in a flood zone, so you got some flood damage and some wind damage. Get a professional involved."
Yeah.
And at that point, then that should be the controversy, right? I mean, what's wind and what's flood, and split it appropriately, right? And so
it's really not that hard, though. Like if it's 2 or 3 feet down, it's most likely flood. And if you have wind damage on your roof, or soffits are missing, or your window got blown out, right, that's wind. I mean, or if you even have stains on your ceiling because you have a wind created opening, right? That's what we all like. That's what they like to talk about now too, right? There's no storm created opening, to open up coverage.
That's the biggest thing that pisses me off is their whole thing of like saying, "Oh no, that was wind driven rain and that's excluded in the policy." And I'm like, and I smack myself in the forehead. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are using that term incorrectly. There is a difference between storm induced openings and wind driven rain. To simplify it, I say if you look at a door, right, and you see the gap underneath it, sometimes there's like that gap and you can see sunshine out there. If rain and water were to push through that already existing gap, that's wind-driven rain, right? I mean, that's the gap already existed. Now water's coming through. It wouldn't normally come through on a bad storm, though, when wind is coming and rain is coming
80 miles
sideways.
an hour, and you have 12 inches of water falling in 6 hours. I mean,
right. That'll get in those gaps that are just open like that, right? But when wind pushes a window and it vortexes, it concaves and convexes it back and forth, and it breaks the seal. And now you get water inside. That's storm created openings. And you got some of these idiot adjusters coming out in the second, third, eighth floor of these multi-unit buildings and suggesting that that's wind-driven rain and it's excluded. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You're telling me that these windows already had gaps around them and that they were just leaking the whole time, and that's just,
and they've never leaked before, right, ever. I mean,
but now they do. I mean, I'm not the smartest man in the world. It's, I start that out and scratch my head. But I mean, and they did that. And I went to Valdosta and in Georgia. We were doing 3 different hotels that were next to each other, and that's what the adjuster's starting to make their tune to, is saying, "Oh no, I don't think these are going to get covered because of wind-driven rain." And luckily, I was there and my team was there, and we were showing and indicating certain areas that were storm-created openings. They were easy to attain and look at, and just a kind of like it was just plain and simple when you look at it. And we all had to literally all go over there and explain how this was open. And luckily, it was renovated the year beforehand, and so it had pictures. It had of it not leaking prior to the event. And but it's like you have to go through all of these hoops to be able to prove that, just so they can do what they're supposed to do, which is cover the claim. And I love to say it. It's not your money, bro. Like, what is your problem?
Yeah.
Right?
But I think it's so, like you brought up a really good point about being a professional in the industry. I mean, you can be a contractor and not know how to work insurance, right? Yeah. Because there are times when contractors come in and they do the work and it's not covered. So then the homeowner's on the hook for that. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important that we educate our homeowners as well, all the policyholders, that there are certain ways that you have to follow, and bringing in a contractor that knows insurance is really key to the puzzle, to be honest with you.
You're talking about like doing some of the betterment stuff. Like, so if if somebody had, Formica countertops and they want to go back with like some high level quartz, and then all of a sudden your retail contractor is quoting you a lump sum bid for $5,000 upgrade in countertops, and you're trying to pass that to the carrier.
Well, that's what the scope of work is. So the carrier is going to look at that estimate and see that that's not the scope of work. So you have to compare like items for like items.
Yeah, they owe you like kind and like quality. We have to compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. But I've actually been involved with consulting stuff with that with attorneys, because homeowners went out. It happened a lot in Ian, down in Fort Myers. You know, you had these people spending $150,000. Meanwhile, they probably were only due about 60 or 70, but they decided to go like super high end in this bathroom and get like waterfall, you know, shower from the ceiling and like all these things. It's like, but they didn't know you for that. And so I, you know, on some of those, I had to be the bad guy to go in and be like, no, man, like really, this probably should have cost you about this amount. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, you can't get, you know, quartz and bowl sinks, vessel sinks, and these badass faucets and all this stuff with what you had. You had like a bathroom from 1992. I mean,
right. You have to replace the 1992 bathroom.
Yeah.
So now the good thing is that the state of Florida allows, like I said earlier, for two things, right? In an HO3 policy, and that's an RCV policy. And that's so it's an actual cash value, right? I mean, excuse me. So there's an ACV that's actual cash value,
replacement cost.
But that was going to be what it actually cost today. But then you get that mixed up with ACV. So replacement cost value of what it really costs right now to go out there. Where you lose it is, like I say, a television, right? You bought a television 10 years ago. You probably spent $20,000 on like what we see today as a 75-inch television that we can now get for like $500 to $1,000, right? So, so that's not the best comparison. But let's say a roof that you put on 20 years ago might cost you $10,000. Today it might cost you $25,000, right? Labor costs and material, all that kind of stuff has went up on that particular service. So that is what you might have put it on 10 or 20 years ago for $10,000. Now, when you get it replaced, it's going to cost you $25,000. That's the difference, right? Of what it costs today to replace. And so what insurance companies are doing now is illegally putting into policies with no discounts, with no special limitations, anything signed or endorsed by the homeowner, or showing that, hey, I have an RCV policy, but here's an ACV on the roof, meaning a depreciation schedule on the roof. And you were saying even the policy that Security First is offering, that they are putting this in there. Like the background of that is Senate Bill 76 back in 2020. They came out with some language that ended up getting stricken by this team, right? I mean, and a lot of folks, FJA and a lot of people were all involved in trying to put that language out. And effectively, the community did do that and ensure that by a strikeout amendment that was filed by one of the senators and the House folks, that were able to take that language out, basically the roof surface language out. However,
so they're still putting it into policies, though.
Right. But it never passed the state statute. So, but it was presented. So what did the insurance companies do? They
just
took it and ran.
Yeah.
They took it and ran. And I was like, what are you guys doing? And it looked like Heritage was the first one out of the gate that were trying to offer this. And they ended up withdrawing that policy ACV schedule for the roof. But it's like you're starting to see it more and more. It is absolutely illegal. I would absolutely fight that because, again, the state of Florida statute survives, over anything, right? You can put whatever you want in a contract, whatever you want in a policy.
But if push comes to shove, you take it attorney, or you take it to trial. That's interesting, yeah, because I have Security First, and we talked about on the break. Like, I have my renewal's coming up, so I need to check that to see if it's in my renewal. Because if not, I may wanna call my broker and have them push back on that.
Yeah, I would. And those are the folks that you want to talk to. We had a public adjuster on here last time. You can give him a call. His name is James Coyne, and other folks that we've had on this show to be able to help you out in the time of need. So contact the public adjuster, contact an attorney, or if you have a question about your house specifically, a construction question, definitely reach out to Corey and his team, 407-395-4749 at CSL Construction. I want to thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thanks, Richie.
And Annabelle, thanks for being on the show as well.
Thanks for having me.
It was an honor. Glad to give some feedback and help you guys out with the fight that we're all in.
And check us out and donate on our website, raflorida.org. Thank you guys for listening. Talk to you guys later. See you.